Hello, everybody. It's Fernando Labastida with the Emotional Skill Gap Summit. Here we are with another great interview for the summit as part of the speaker preview series. We're here with Marcus van Alphen. He's joining us today from Spain. Marcus is a leadership psychologist and an advocate for excellent leadership. He helps organizations with, teach courage, psychological safety, empathy through his pioneering work on observational listening, which is a method that trains leaders to truly see and hear their teams and transforms managers into leaders. His talk at the summit is called, here we go, Breaking the Fear Cycle, How Courageous Leadership and AI Turn Good Teams into Unstoppable Ones. Marcus, welcome. And tell us a little bit about your background and how you got to the place where you are teaching about empathy and courage and psychological safety.
So you're telling me you've got an hour? No, I'll give you the short version.
Yes.
See, basically, I started my career as an electrical and electronic engineer. So I was in a completely different field of sports. And basically, at around the age 40, I found out this isn't my kind of a thing. I wasn't happy. I went through what we call a burnout. And after that, changed my profession to that of psychologist. And I've also in psychology, I've been here and there and everywhere. I've gone through all kinds of different routes. I've been in the clinical psychology side. I've been in the organizational psychology, social psychology, and a couple of other things. And eventually landed up in this idea of leadership psychology. It might sound strange, but psychology is, if you really put it down to nuts and bolts, you bring it back to nuts and bolts, psychology is about influence. It's about how do we influence people. Yes, from a good heart, obviously. That's the idea. We're not there. I can teach people how to manipulate, but that's not going to make them happy. So really what my job is as a leadership psychologist is to find ways in which leaders get better at influencing their people in the right way, so that, in fact, the performance of your whole organization is impacted in a positive sense. And really, that the major ingredient in that is emotional intelligence, empathy, and that's also this technique of observational listening that I developed over the last couple of years is really based on big doses of empathy and emotional intelligence, and how to use that as probably your best source of information and your best tool to influence people.
So that sounds fascinating. Observational listening is something that this is new to me. Obviously, it sounds like as though you've coined the term, right? I was wondering if you could maybe delve a little bit deeper into observational listening and how that could help teams and especially leaders in terms of influencing their teams.
Yes. Well, I started observational listening in my experience of training therapists, to be quite honest. So a part of my job is also teaching at various universities of applied science. And one of the things I noticed was that my students, some of them, they just went into a conversation and it just went sort of automatically, whereas others were struggling. And so I was trying to discover what's the difference between these two sets of people. And what I discovered was that the people where it goes easily, these are the people who are picking up on the emotional content, and not so much the emotional content of what people are telling them, but the emotional content of what's happening now in that other person. And so my question really started developing into this a teachable skill. And the answer to that was, yes, it is. It's a trainable skill. So you can train people to pick up on the emotional content of people's conversation with you, which gives you another layer of information. So that was the beginning of it. And I started noticing that my students were also reporting better conversations at home. And that clicked by me to say, well, wait a minute. This isn't just language for therapists. This is a language for humans, and that's where I went to this leadership psychology side and thought, well, look, where can we have the biggest influence on the happiness of people on this planet? If you ask me, it's via leadership. I mean, many of us spend more hours at work than we spend at home or with family and friends. We spend more time with our colleagues. So if we can get that communication just 5% better, I mean, that's going to have an enormous impact on our well-being and happiness across this planet. So that's really where that idea came from.
Yeah, huge impact, huge impact. That's amazing. So, Marcus, let's switch into the topic of your talk, breaking the fear cycle, how courageous leadership and AI turn good teams into unstoppable ones. I was wondering if you could give us a overview of the talk and how you came up with the talk.
Well, when you start working in leadership psychology, what you notice is that what holds us back in many organizations are the myths that we have been brought up with. I'm not talking about our parents. I'm talking about the myths that we've been brought up as a society, was this is the way one should do business. And one of the biggest myths that I think we need to debunk is this idea of that fear changes behavior. Um, there's a lot of research as old as 1820, which shows that fear is actually the least effective way to change people's behavior. And, really using fear in an organizational context actually ensures that people will comply. If you're looking at an organization where you want things to be innovative, you don't want people to comply, you want more than that. So the whole fear-based paradigm and innovation are sort of two mutually exclusive things. So really this idea of hey, wait a minute, fear is there for a reason. Fear is there to protect us. It is there for our survival. However, if we want to do more than what is known, we need to go a step further. And then we come to the switch from fear to courage. The tension that you feel when you're courageous is very similar to the tension you feel when you're in a fear or in an anxiety state. And yet it has and physical different effects on your body, courage to fear, and it also has an effect on your behavior. And it has an effect on your brain. It makes you think more clearly, makes you actually try things which otherwise you wouldn't have tried. That's in a nutshell. I mean, fear, we've been taught, for example, KPIs. If you don't meet your key performance indicators, what happens to you? Well, at best, you're going to lose a bonus. At worst, you're going to lose your job. This is a fear-based paradigm. Whereas we know that KPIs don't motivate people. There are other things that are far more motivational, far more going to get them out of bed and saying, yes, let's go for it.
I remember I was applying for a job in sales at Oracle, and
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I just kept on hearing from people at Oracle were that if you meet your monthly quota or you get fired, you have to exceed your quota by 20%. And I'm thinking, well, that's interesting, an interesting way of motivating people. And I ended up not working at
I don't
Oracle.
think it works very well.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And tell us a little bit about the AI aspect of,
Mm-hmm.
the courageous leadership and good teams.
Sure. Sure. I think the way to introduce it is also to just look at what is AI. And AI is just technology. And a lot of people are scared of AI. They have this idea that AI is going to take over the world or whatever. And, so it's actually a fear-based idea to saying we're not going to use AI. So the question really is it's technology. What's technology there for? Technology is there to make our lives easier and to make our lives better. To give a simple example, without technology, we wouldn't be able to take a shower every day. So are we going to avoid taking a shower every day because maybe showers are going to, or maybe hot water is going to take over our world? I don't think so. So again, it's not the AI itself that's the problem, it's the way we use it. Getting into, instead of using the fear-based approach towards AI, also using the courage approach to AI, we can try and discover what AI can do for us, which is costing us a lot of time and effort, which really, it's not rocket science usually. What we want AI to do is to take the repetitive, boring tasks out of our package of things to do. So, really using AI can also be a method to get more in touch with the empathic side, both yours and that of the team you're leading and the clients you're trying to sell your products to, by just listening to tone, for example, getting AI to pick up on the tone and just giving you a signal, hey, this tone is here, this tone is there. This saves us a lot of effort and makes it we can focus on actually zooming in on those emotions when they occur. Because really, this again ties in seamlessly with observational listening. I believe if you can follow through and tie into the emotions that people are experiencing, a lot of what we call motivating is just superfluous, because what we really only need to do is to align with the emotion the other is experiencing, and they will be motivated by themselves to do the correct thing. And having AI assist us in that process, I believe, why not? Why not?
That's actually that's fascinating. I'm going to make sure that I am there for your talk because I want to learn that. I'm very AI forward. I use AI a lot in my work, but I have this philosophy in that, AI doesn't take away our humanity. It can amplify it,
It can
you
enhance
know.
us.
Yes, it can enhance it, right.
Exactly. Exactly. AI, as far as I'm concerned, is really something that we can use to make more of an impact. I mean, I use AI as well for all the things, and I think one of the most important things I learned from AI is to also question it. In other words, if AI gives me an answer, the first answer it's giving me is usually the answer that I've already got in my mind. In other words, the trick isn't to get answers that you already know, because I mean, what's the added value? So the trick is to follow through and get curious and really find out, hey, wait a minute, you say this, but which research actually corroborates this?
Right.
And here I have a criticism from so and so. What do you think of that criticism? What if we combine this criticism and the research behind that criticism with the answer you've given me? And this way, instead of just using AI to give you the answers that you expect them to give you, you're actually asking them to go that step further. And I believe that that's also part of being courageous enough to actually question the answers that we're getting.
Yes. Yes. That's fantastic, and I'm glad you're bringing this up because it's very timely, actually, very timely. One thing I wanted to mention about, I wanted to make an observation of something that we touched on before, with the, observational listening. It kind of reminds me of I've been in sales and in marketing in the high tech industry. And one method that it kind of reminds me of is called sales mirroring in a way. I don't know if that's related to that, where you kind of where in the first few minutes of a sales conversation, you can detect somebody's emotions, but you also can detect their learning style, their buying style, their personality, and kind of mirror that.
Sure. Sure, and again, it's the same idea of aligning. Instead of seeing emotions as something we need to avoid, seeing emotions as something we need to embrace. Because if we do embrace them, we get a far deeper understanding of what the other person needs. And as you know, in sales, if you sell a product to somebody just for the sale, that's not such a good sale compared to a sale where you sell it to something where this person is truly helped by your product, or is truly believing in your product. but it's a completely different dimension we're entering in, also in the sales market.
Yes. And the word that comes to mind, or the term that comes to mind, is you become a fiduciary for that person. You look after their best interests. And if your
Exactly.
product is something they
Exactly.
need or it solves a problem, then you sell it. And if you don't feel like as though your product is something they need, in fact, it would be a waste of their money, then
Exactly.
it's your responsibility to tell
You
them, you know
shouldn't
what,
sell it.
I don't have something to
Yeah.
sell you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's the same with services. I do this also with clients who come to me for counseling. After the first session, the question I ask them is there sufficient resonance between us that I am the correct person to help you in whatever you're dealing with? Because if the answer is no, I will refer you to a colleague.
I love that. I
And
love that.
because basically that's what we want. I think it's no different for leadership as well.
Well, fantastic. So, Marcus, thank you so much for spending this time with us. I don't want to give away too much about your talk because we want people to actually attend your talk to learn about, to get the full content. And again, your talk is Breaking the Fear Cycle: How Courageous Leadership and AI Turn Good Teams into Unstoppable Ones. You're actually going to be speaking on the 19th of March from 12:25 p.m. US Central Time to 1:25 p.m. And so, for those in
Hmm.
Spain, that would be 7:25 to 8:25. In the UK, it would be 6:25 to, 7:25, and everybody else knows how to calculate the US time. So, Marcus, thank you so much. Is there
Exactly.
anything that you would like to add in conclusion that maybe I didn't ask you?
Well, I'm hoping people just come to this summit and learn and enjoy. And yes, I hope that my contribution will be appreciated.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. So, thank you so much. And where can people find you?
Well, the easiest place to find me is via the website excellent-leader.com. Or they can find me on LinkedIn. I've got a digital footprint that's quite large, so I'm sure they'll find me.
Okay, fantastic. Well, see you later, and we will see you on the 19th of March.
Great. Have a good one.
All right. And join us on the 19th of May at 12:25 p.m. Central Time, U.S. Central Time, for Marcus's talk. Again, that's 19th of May, March uh, 19th of May, 12:25 p.m. Central Time, which is 7:25 time in Spain and in much of Europe, 6:25 UK and Portugal. And everybody else knows how to calculate your time zones in the US if it's 12:25. And we'll see you then. Have a good one.